Sensory overload or overstimulation of our senses can be very stressful. Sometimes it may be difficult to realize that we are being overstimulated, that we are overloading our senses simply because of this modern world in which we live. Technology is everywhere. We're busy. We're constantly facing information and data and responsibilities and things that are expected of us. It's easy to get lost in all of that and not even realize how overstimulated our senses are. But too much stimulation of our senses is stressful for us. And everybody may have a somewhat different threshold of at which point they feel overstimulated and, as a result, stressed out. But at some point, everybody does reach that level where it's too much and it simply turns into something that is too stressful. Overstimulation of senses can happen because of lights, maybe too much light, lights that are too bright, lights that are blinking or doing anything else that is assaulting to the eyes. Maybe it's noise, maybe it's crowds. There are many different ways in which our senses can become overloaded, overstimulated. The result of all that can look like anxiety or irritability or just feeling stressed out. You may think to yourself, since we live in a modern society, a world that is busy, maybe you live in a highly populated area in a big city, avoiding sensory overload may seem difficult, and indeed it may very well be. However, every single individual has the opportunity and the responsibility to take care of what comes at them and their senses. In essence, you as an individual have the opportunity and the responsibility to give your senses a break. First and foremost, what we can all do is limit how much information and how much stimulation comes at us every single day. That's not to say that you might be able to eliminate everything that could potentially turn to be a stressor, or that you could even reduce it enough to a point where it wouldn't stress you out. But you can always control how much and what is coming at you to some degree, even if it's to a small degree. And remember, every little bit helps. The other thing that everyone can do is be proactive in giving their senses some rest, giving their senses an opportunity to be left alone and not be constantly stimulated. One of the things that I will suggest first, because this is something that happens more often than you might realize, but is also ignored as an overstimulation of senses. Many people choose to fall asleep to some kind of noise, maybe the TV, maybe music, maybe the radio, maybe a podcast, something, anything that does not allow for silence while you're sleeping. So even as you try to sleep, even during your time of slumber, there is still some kind of stimulant coming at your senses. In this instance, it's your hearing. Sometimes it might be lights from TV screens or computer screens. Even though your eyes are closed, the room is not dark because it is lit up by the screen. So here you are, and I know that some of you can identify with this, trying to sleep, assuming that you are giving all your senses a break, but you are missing out on truly getting a break from sensory stimulation, because there is sound, there is noise, there is potentially light still in your environment as you're trying to sleep. So this is something that you can definitely address, whether you're making the decisions for the sounds or lights while you're sleeping, or it's a partner in your household that's making those decisions. This is an opportunity for you to consider whether you are truly allowing your senses to have some rest time while you're sleeping. There are other ways where you can give yourself a break while you're awake, of course. Many people enjoy noise-canceling headphones. They come in different sizes and styles and varieties, but they're out there. Some of them cancel out noise pretty much to a non-existent level. Others just dampen the noise. Whatever your preference and whatever you need is, the more that you can cancel noise coming at you throughout the day, the more you will benefit. And of course, we have to keep in mind that there's a time and a place where you can engage in noise canceling technology. Other times you have to be fully aware of your surroundings, so you have to keep that in mind. But whenever that is an option, that's something that I recommend you give a try. Another good way to give your senses a break during the day is to pay attention to your environment and to minimize the sensory overload potential in your environment. That could mean background noise, that could mean the lighting in your environment, that could mean the decor in your environment, or even things such as clutter can all be disrupting to your senses. So think about, what can you do for your daytime experience that can allow you to reduce some of the noise of your environment? Adjust the lighting in your environment so that it's not an assault on your eyes, but rather something that helps you to see properly without being overstimulating to you. What about the decor of your environment? What about the organization of your environment? If things are disorganized or out of place or cluttered, that may be a sensory overload for many people. Similarly, if the environment, for example, colors are loud or unpleasant by your preference, that can also overstimulate your senses. So think about what you can do as far as your environment goes that can help you to reduce that sensory overload during the day. Another option may be to take intentional breaks, sensory breaks, maybe 5 minutes, couple of times during the day, maybe even multiple times during the day, where maybe you go outside if outside is quieter, or maybe you put on some noise canceling headphones and close your eyes and focus on breathing exercises. That way you're not taking information in that is auditory or visual, but rather you're turning inward and shutting out the outside world and all the stimulation that comes with it. Sometimes, if you have the opportunity, and for some of you this will be easier to achieve than others, purposefully enjoying silence. Maybe that means silence during a break at work, or after work, or maybe in the morning at home, or maybe even doing something as simple as turning off the radio or your music in the car during your commute, and just embracing and enjoying and truly experiencing the silence that is around you. That can provide a tremendous break for your senses. As I said at the beginning of the episode, sometimes we don't realize just how much comes at us in terms of sensory stimulation until we consciously try to give ourselves a break, give our senses a break, cut out some of that stimulation, at least for a certain amount of time, or reduce it as much as we can. So consider how much stimulation your senses get on a daily basis and on a nightly basis as well. And what can you do to help to reduce some of that? What can you do to eliminate some of it or all of it, if possible, for short periods of time throughout the day so that you truly can experience a respite from sensory stimulation and overstimulation, as is often the case for so many, which then leads to things like stress and anxiety. The world isn't going anywhere. It's okay to take that break. It's okay to shut out all the sensory stimulation for a little bit throughout the day. It'll still be waiting there for you. You're not going to miss much of anything, if anything at all. So give your senses a break and reap the benefits of having those little quiet moments in times of respite. If you'd like to learn more about a comprehensive approach to stress management, check out the link below.